Tilting at Windmills is probably the most powerful, I want to say.
I can't give the title away from Spawn of the Abyss before Neutral and Spawn of the Abyss got changed. But as it stands right now,
I would say the combo of that. Yeah,
outside of that, probably Tilting at Windmills is probably just the most straightforward.
It's certainly been the strongest OTK that we've seen.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just easy, right?
Yeah.
And you don't even need to OTK with it because cards like Israfil exist, and you can just get this huge advantage with it. Absolutely. And my prediction rang true. Both the Daria decks are banned out.
I love myself some mirror matches.
That's right.
I'm actually really excited to see how this goes down.
Both players choosing to play their blood decks first as well, so we might just get to see a bunch of mirrors.
It's going to be this epic battle where their fist punches will leave craters in the floor.
Yes, absolutely. You will feel the shockwaves from miles away.
And by the end of it, the planet will be destroyed, and only one victor will remain. Or maybe everybody loses. You know?
Yeah.
Maybe in that scenario.
This game, fortunately, does not have that option. You cannot both lose the same game.
Yeah. Shadowverse does a pretty good job of avoiding ties.
I like it. I like it a lot. It means that there are clear-cut and defined rules and parameters on how to win the game and how you lose the game, and you've got to meet them if you want to be the victor.
Yeah. Rest in pieces for the Rage tournament where can't remember the competitor's name, but ended up BMing and ended up defeating himself on his turn.
Oh yeah, the BM lose. Yeah, that's the best possible scenario. If somebody BMs and they lose the game because of it, that's so justified. Like everybody feels good about that. Everybody.
Now the situation we are looking at here is one that feels very bad for Chin.
So what did we talk about, right? For defense being such a huge milestone in the metagame right now, Spiderweb Imp, the earliest to be able to be played with that stat line, really hard for a card like MVC to get around.
What's insane is even if you Angelic Knight, you still don't take down the Spiderweb Imp.
Right, and unfortunately cannot do both that and the Wise Merman this turn, so we'll lose value somehow through the Spiderweb Imp.
Chin is really thinking hard, and I think this is absolutely appropriate for a turn like this.
Yeah. I think taking it out is a fine play. I think the other good option would have actually been to play the Angelic Knight and just hold, essentially, and just force that Spiderweb Imp to do something first.
Yeah.
Oh, words. So good here.
Wow, Deviate is just an on the draw. Again, look at this board state. This does not feel good for the player on the play. You lost your board control. You have less evolution orbs. You get it less quick. There could be a gigantic board for Deviate on this next turn here.
Now, I feel like Vengeance Blood has a tiny edge because of Emeralda specifically in this matchup. I think Chin, with his late game of Hellblindies and Phantom Cats, has a way to just push solid damage in the late game, but doesn't really have that big board control effect like Emeralda has. And these Spiderweb Imps, I'm telling you, they might hurt you, but I think they give you so much more an advantage. And of course, Lyriel, always an all-star here.
There's just so many different points of value here for DV8. And even on your next turn, right, you do a 2-for-1, which means you leave 2 damage on board.
Yep. And unfortunately, Hector not even live here.
That's right.
Can't even 2-for-1 with it. Might have to Razor Claw plus Goblin Evolve just to shore up some of this board. And like you said, using Razor Claw on defense does not feel good.
Yeah, you know something's wrong when that happens.
Wow.
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 He wants to make sure he has the biggest opportunity possible to activate the Hector.
If he draws a Bloodcraft card next turn, this game is just going to be over.
Oh my god.
And if against Neutral Blood, you don't really have to worry about putting your opponent in Vengeance. That's one of the downsides of playing the Neutral Blood deck.
And even so, I feel like there's not a lot of reason not to, right? You know that there's not Diabolic Drain, by the way. You know, there's no way to really swing back. So
there's only 8 damage possible in hand for Deviate next turn. So this next turn will not be a lethal turn, as far as we can see. And he will have to trade into that Hector.
It's interesting. I almost, the big thing here, as D8 moves forward, if you activate Vengeance, you actually, you have to remember that neutral blood has burn effects.
Right.
Right.
And these Hell Blindies are going to be potent. However, I don't know if it's too little too late, especially when you start seeing cards like Dark General enter the hand for DV8. The end game is just going to be so hard to stop.
The big issue here is I think you play Belphegor to draw, and then you try to not use the Belphegor to clear out the ward. So maybe something like the Lyriel even?
Possibly. I think you're right with the card draw. I think start with that, and then just see where you're going. You're far enough ahead to where you can take a poke like this, plus you want Dark General to be active next turn, so you can just finish the game with it.
Interesting. Gonna save the Lyriel, which means the Dark General just trades.
With the Belphegor, yeah. But this pushes 5 to face, and it ensures that Dark General is enough to finish, even if this board get cleared out, which it will with the Help Blindy. So I think, I think he set that up perfectly.
Help Blindy here now, gonna get the Evolve popped here. Swings into the 2/2. I'm gonna pop. Board is clear, and now we know the path to victory for DV8 is going to Dark General. Had the Angel of the Word and the Razor Claw just to make sure, and
Good
DV8
measure.
takes the first game.
So what this actually says to me is that Disaster feels that Neutral Blood actually is a good enough deck against Dragon to not ban it out. And perhaps
is that
maybe
true?
I don't know.
We saw Dragon heal out.
Yeah.
Right? But who knows? I mean, we're only getting snapshots of the matchup.
Of course.
Right?
I mean, you play the deck 50 times against each other. Which one comes out more positive? It could be, in fact, Neutral Blood.
Yeah. I think the biggest question... Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, looking at deck matchups in that way, you really have to... I think one of the big questions to ask is how many points of opportunity do you have to shift the game in your favor as well, right? When you talk about aggro decks, there might be 1 or 2 big turns. That's why when we look at players like Jay-Z playing Control, right, there are multiple turns where the game can shift. And what makes Jay-Z so great is he plays all those situations and he maximizes opportunities at all those moments, right? And so even though, an aggro deck versus a control deck, you might see, 55% of the time I'll win, or whatever that number is. If you only have 1 point of agency, maybe it's not the deck that you want to play still.
Right.
So I wonder how they kind of are thinking about that question.
It's just interesting to note that they feel like Bloodcraft is, in whatever scenario it might be, Neutral Blood, Vengeance Blood, a mixture of the two, is just very strong into this lineup here. And I can't fault them for thinking that. I mean, they've probably played that matchup a lot more than I have in the past week, and they definitely know. And as we saw, I mean, Bloodcraft has this, I'm always drawing cards. I'm always dealing damage. It's not really ever going to slow down. So those games where you just don't draw your healing as Dragon, you might just fall over. Chin taking a long time here. He knows that every game now is his tournament life on the line. So he is going to take his sweet time, and I cannot hate on that.
Yeah, DV8 in the advantage right now. And Chin has to figure out a way to make things work for his deck.
Now, does he push? Does he trade and not give any value to this Ayala?
I think he's going face here.
Yep, with the double Wise Merman at his face. It's about as big as a Goblin can get on turn 2, yeah?
Interesting.
I'm really liking the way that DV8's hand is shaping up. This is not the type of Dragoncraft. We haven't really seen Ayelas that often in the early game.
Yes.
And those coupled with removal spells or even Dragon Oracle to just go crazy with the ramp feels really good.
I think you got an Oracle and Salamander here.
Ooh.
Interesting. Oracle and Breath.
Yeah, I think... I don't even know about
Breath.
Oracle here. I don't even think you have to. Next turn, you can play Pure-Hearted Singer with an Ayala. For an Evo, this turn you can actually just remove most of the board before something like an Actress Faria comes out, very specifically.
True. That's very true. You are correct.
Wow.
Okay. He is going to get punished.
Yeah. That is the only play I was not expecting.
Yeah.
And he will definitely get punished because of it.
What are you doing?
However, in saying that, Chin doesn't really have those draw options that we were talking about, but did just draw a second fairy if he can maintain board. Unfortunately for him, DV8 did not ramp up to Breath of the Salamander quick enough to actually take this board out.
Yeah, it is really interesting, right? If you get that early ramp, you actually have Salamander to access. Both ways, this Faria would have made the board very tough. You swing the Pure Hearted in, and then you could have Salamandered here, but now that's just not an option. You do get the double ramp this turn, if you choose so.
And can take most of the board out this turn, fortunately enough. But already being at 10, with only a Fervor left in hand, it's really going to come down to if Chin can start drawing these Phantom Cats.
Nothing to activate that, and there's, unless you draw like a Phantom Cat on curve, I suppose, there's no real way to get that activated in the relevant scope of this game.
I actually think you just use it as a forward position to evolve this Wise Merman and go face. I think you just have to start throwing everything to the wind and just going face with everything that you possibly can. Play Hector to protect.
Interesting.
Evolve Wise Merman face and just hope you top deck. This is an aggro deck. Sometimes you get into this spot.
You're right. You are correct. What is available on the backswing with Scyther? So you will be able to... You won't be able to Fervor, but you have the Oracle.
Yep, and Scyther will definitely help clean out the board here. So this is about the last board that Chin's going to have access to.
On the warfield, a shining helmet.
There it is. Only 6 points of health left, and this is when DV8 thinks to not play. This is when DV8 really thinks to kind of claw his way back.
Yep. This is kind of where you start to feel good as Dragoncraft. Yes, I'm only at 6, but my opponent only has 1 card left in hand, and I can clear his board out.
Here comes a Scyther. Order not particularly important.
What are you doing?
And this is all down to Phantom Cat.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Evo this, go face.
The question still remains. The ability to pull a Phantom Cat, is still there.
Phantom Cat, how Blindy could be really good. It really just depends on how the board shapes up this next turn. Ooh, this is a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, you definitely heal.
Did you like it?
Oh,
Interesting.
No. Not cards you want to see at the moment.
And wow. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yep.
All right, Chin. What can you draw?
In 2 turns.
Oh
my God!
There we go.
I was about to say in 2 turns it's over.
Ooh, only 2 damage.
That is so important.
That's killer right there.
That is so important.
The downside to Baphomet.
But now you can't play tilting. I would just play the Israfil.
You have to. You have to heal. 100%. Now, you could play Sybil. You could play Sybil alongside something. Oh.
He's just going.
Yep.
Is he going to tilt?
I think this is Queen of the Dread
Oh,
Sea.
maximum healing.
Maximum healing. I like this play a lot.
Yeah, you don't need the combo to win the game. You just need to make sure you're out of reach with followers that are very, very, very big.
This is something I think a lot of people can learn from. If you're placing against an aggro deck, what's the best possible thing you can do? Produce a massive board and heal as much as possible in a single turn. I think that play was incredible.
Second Phantom Cat right here. Nope, that is not.
Baby little lady Phantom Cat.
Oh no, it's that.
The chain.
The Baphomet chain. Oh.
So close.
And I think that's going to shut the game out. I think that's going to lead to DV8's victory here. 10-12.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially
oh my
now.
gosh.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
DV8 running away with this one, being the disaster player to make it to the next step.
That's really what we're talking about. Before we entered the game, the points of agency that you have on Neutral Blood, very, 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 very close.
Yes.
But it was one opportunity, right?
Yeah.
It can feel good when you just hit the right opportunity and you just shut your opponent out. But DV8 playing around the scenarios very smartly, dropped the healing at the right time. Definitely made that play where we were discussing, right? Oh, do you ramp and spell? What do you do? And he chose to